Okay. Okay, we're up to the Mishnah. Tonight's daf. Again, we're continuing in the sugyas of when do we trust the person? When do we believe what he says? When do we not believe what he says? And you could have certain situations where he's totally believed, and then other situations where he's totally not believed, even though he's seemingly saying the same thing. Right? Right? Yeah, so let's see. So the Mishnah on Samach Dalid Amid Aleph, second line down. Yeah, so Kidashti, here's a fellow says like this. Kidashti is Biti. He says, I was Makadosh my daughter. That's one case. He just says I was Makadosh my daughter. Like we said yesterday with the case with that, I don't want to call him a nut, maybe he is a nut, who was fighting with his wife over the get. So he just said, I married my daughter off to somebody, and he wouldn't say who it was to. So now his daughter was stuck. All right. So that's essentially what we're saying here. The Mishnah says, Kidashi is Biti. Says I was Makadosh my daughter. Or another case, Kidashti Bigirashtia. Kidashti, I'm sorry, Bigirashtia Kashikatan. I married her off, and I got her, and I also accepted a divorce for her when she was a katana. Now what okay, so what's the problem? So the problem is that she can't marry a kohen. Right, based on this guy's testimony, is he trusted that she can't marry a kohen? Right. The first case is that she can't marry anybody. Right. And the second case is that he says, I got her married. I also got her divorced. So varehi katana, if she's a katana, meaning she's still a katana right now, Neman, he's believed. Right? Kidashtia v'garashtia, because she katana, varehi gedoyla. But if he says, I married her off and then I accepted a divorce for her when she was less than 12 years old, but right now she's older than 12 years old, then he's not believed. Right? Ain't a Neman. He's not believed. So we're going to see in the Gemara, the Gemara is going to have a back and forth. Why? What? Sometimes you do believe him, or you don't believe. Meaning, either he's in or he's out. Right? Do we trust this guy? Do we not trust this guy? So the Mishnah is saying it depends. If she's less than 12 years old, we trust him. If she's more than 12 years old, we don't trust him. Right? Fine. The last case in the Mishnah is Nishbis Upadisiya. If he says that she was captured, but I was paid to her, right? Halavai, that should be the case with all the situations in Eretz Yisrael. Bein she katana, bein she gedoyla. Whether she's a katana, whether she's a gedoyla, eno neman, he is not believed. Okay, so he is not, meaning it's very interesting because now when she's a katana, he's believed to say that he married her off and he got her divorced, but he's not believed to say that she was captured and then he redeemed her. Now, what's a pshat? Right, so that we're gonna have to see in the Gemara. But meaning, what? Well, who cares if she was captured and redeemed? Because once she's captured, she also becomes asur to kohanim, right? Because we're assuming that a guy was ma'anis her. We're assuming a guy raped her. So Mamela, she's not allowed to be with a kohen. So therefore, the shaila is what point? At what point do we give the father this power, and when do we not?
Who said anything about a kohen?
Who? Me.
No, I understand what it says.
No. Rashi says.
I understand, but where is Rashi getting it from?
What else is an Ageya?
Who cares otherwise?
Unless you want to say maybe Mekach Tois, that she's not a Basula, so you'd have to tell the potential Chassan that she's not a Basula.
The Ksuba's less, you have to pay her.
Ksuba's less, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Taka.
Say, why is the...
What? What are you saying? We got two locals here. If you don't know who I'm talking to, so that's it. What are you saying?
It's the shoreline. It's the shoreline.
I'm furnishing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I didn't understand where the Rashi is assuming.
No, because the shaila is does this father have the power? Does he have the power to negatively affect his daughter, right? When she sees a katana, he has the power, and not to say that she was captured. When she's a gedola, he doesn't have the power, which we're going to see in the Gemara now. Why? It's
What?
well,
Oh, even when she's a katana, ben she gdela ain't in Eman. If she's a
by the
katana,
by the capturing, he's
but
not. He's
what's
not.
shot even by the capture? He has full shlit on her when she's a katana.
He does have.
So then why is it ain't in Eman?
Oh, so that we have to see in the Gemara. We have to see in the Gemara. So there's two things that the Mishnah is saying. One is that when he says the daughter's being married, he married off the daughter. He's believed if she's a katana, and he's even believed when he says I married her off and I accepted a divorce for her when she's a katana. If she's still a katana, he's believed. Once she's a gedola, he's not believed at all. Right? He's not believed at all when she's a gedola. And he's not believed even when she's a katana to say that she was captured and then he redeemed her. Right? Okay, so Zog the Gemara, Frag the Gemara, Maishna Reishna, Maishna Seifa, right? The obvious Shaila. What's the difference in the Reisha and the Seifa? Why, when she's a katana, is he believed, and when she's a gedola, is not believed? And why is she not believed? Why is he not believed when about captured, even when she's a katana? So we say Reisha biyode, Seifa la biyode. The Reisha, it's in his hand to do what he said. So Mameli, he's believed. Meaning, if she's still less than 12, he can go marry her off, and he can accept the divorce on her part. Again, the Gemara is going to change the pshat now, but that's what the Gemara is saying right now. Well, of course, he's believed. He could do it, right? Unless you want to say that he's doing this, he's saying this the minute before Shkia on the night she's turning bas mitzvah. Then maybe then it's not biyodi to do it. Maybe then since he has the wherewithal to do this, he's believed. Seifa, la biyodi, but the seifa is not in his hand. Right? How's he going to do it? He's not allowed to accept marriage for once she's 12 years old. And he also can't, it's not in his power to get her kidnapped. Right? I mean, I guess theoretically, if he had pull with the mafia, right?
How do we know he's not lying?
Well, that's the thing. That's the Pope. That's exactly what the Mishnah is saying. He's not. We don't know if he's lying. We have no idea. We trust him when he had. The Gemara is thinking now. We trust him when he has the wherewithal to carry out what it is that he said he did. Right. So we trust him. But if once she's 12, he can't do that. So Mamela, he's not. He can't marry her off when she's 12. Right. So he's out. So therefore, he's not believed. And even when she's less than 12, he cannot get her to be captured by Goyim. Right? Meaning he could go look, he could put it in a help wanted ad and say, I'm looking for Goyim to capture my daughter, but I mean, he cannot find any
circumstances that say that it's true, like there was a kidnapping, we just take his.
You know what?
Do we look for what's it? There's a word for it.
For excuses?
No, not excuses. For something,
Evidence.
Evidence.
Is a dresser like amigo?
Oh, so that's sort of like amigo, which we're gonna get to. We're gonna see. Yeah. The question is this amigo? L'chayra, this is amigo, right?
What could you say?
What's amigo? Amigo. Well, let's hold on. Let's see. So anyway, so what the Mishnah is saying, what the Gemara is saying right now is that when he has the wherewithal to carry out what he said, he's trusted. When he doesn't have the wherewithal, he's not trusted. The Gemara says,
the second case, what does that mean, the wherewithal? He's saying that when she was a katana, I married her off, but she's a gadol now.
So right now, he's not trusted because right now he can't pull it off. A guy comes into Bezin, his daughter's 10 years old, he says, I married her off and I divorced her. Bezin says, we don't trust you. He says, you know what? You don't trust me? I'm going to go outside and grab a boy and I'm going to do it. So then we trust him because he can do it.
When he can't do it, then you don't trust
Correct.
him. Okay.
When it's not as, meaning this is not about, we don't give him like a litmus test to see if he's a trustworthy. We're not giving him a lie detector.
He could do it anyway. So
correct.
To trust him now that he did.
Correct. You don't have a choice. Basically, your hand, he's forcing your hand. That's essentially what's going on because if you deny him that, he'll just do it. So it says, he does have a way to make her puzzle to kahuna, right? He can marry her off to a chalal, meaning he could marry her off to a guy, a kohen, whose father, who was a kohen, married a divorcee, right? Now that guy's a chalal, when he marries a regular Yiddish girl, that woman becomes a chalal. So he does have the wherewithal to make this girl not be able to marry kohanim, right? Which Rashi says the obvious. Why can't he just marry her off and then divorce? Right? What does he have to come out to chalal for?
And how does she become a cholol? The kinderlach become chololim.
No. It's not about this guy is a chalal. So by virtue of this guy who married her being a chalal, she will also become a chalala. At least that's what the Gemara is thinking right now. Right? So let's see. So my answer is Halei Kasha, Reb Dustai ben Yehuda. He's going like Reb Dustai ben Yehuda, who says exactly like what Racham said. The Amar B'nais Yisrael mikveh tahara l'chalal. Very interesting lashon. Daughters of Yisrael they're like a mikveh tahara for chalalim. Meaning, if a chalal marries a chalal, meaning, right? We know from the first Daf and Makkos, the guy, the father who slept with a divorcee, he doesn't become a chol. He stays. Go figure. This is one of those go figures. He's the one that did something wrong, right? He's perfectly fine as a kohen. His kid is a chol, right? So now this kid goes and marries this girl. So we were thinking that girl becomes a chol. Now the Gemara is saying no. Not only does their kids are not chalolim, but the woman herself also doesn't become a chol, right? So a mikveh tahara l'chalon. So basically, because the rule is that anybody that if you can marry the daughter, it's automatic that you could also marry the mother. That's what Reb Dustai ben Yehuda is saying. So since a guy can marry the daughter, and we're saying the daughter's not becoming a chalal, memela, that makes the mother not a chalal, even though she's married to a chalal. Yeah, fine. We're going to see that later on the Masechta. So where it says, okay, Varebi Yodi Lasila Mamzer. He could marry off to a mamzer, right? And then she's really in trouble. She certainly can't marry a kohen that way. So why don't we say that he should be trusted? So we say Rebbe Kiva, Domer Ein Kiddushin Taisim, B'Chayve Lavin. No, we're going with Rebbe Kiva, who says that mamzerim come from Chayve Lavin too. Meaning normally mamzerim only come from Chiyuve Misa, relationships that come from Chiyuv Misa. Rebbe Kiva holds that you get mamzerus even from Chayve Lavin. Therefore, if a Chayve Lavin marry each other, their marriage is still considered a proper marriage. So we're saying we're going according to Rebbe Kiva.
What are we looking for now?
We're looking for to give the father power to make his daughter puzzle.
But we already said if he can marry off, he's believed.
Not to say that she's captured, because he doesn't have power over being captured. So we're looking for other ways that he could make her puzzle to marry Kohanim.
First case.
Which first case?
In the Mishnah.
The what? Married and divorced.
Right.
So Rashi asked that kasha. We said it. So Rashi asked that kasha. Right? Right. So Rashi says he's only passing her from kahuna. He's not passing her from truma. Right? But somebody who's captured is even puzzled from truma. So we're looking for somebody to puzzle her even from truma. That's the way Rashi answers it. Anyways, so the Gemara says, Rabbi Yoda, let's see, Almana l'kohen gadol. If she's an almana, right? Maybe his daughter's an almana. He has the ability to marry her off to a kohen gadol. Okarav simai, the Tanya Rav Simai, I remember Akol Eis Rabbi Kiva Mamzer. Rabbi Kiva holds that everybody's a mamzer. I'm marrying before that. Almana the kohen gadol is a mitzvah asay. It's not a lois asay. Meaning there's different levels of relationships that are also. There's chiyuve misa, which everybody holds makes a mamzer. There's chiyuve lavin, which is like an almana l'kohen gadol, or grusha chalutza l'kohen hedjit, right? Mamzer, those are lavin. So that most shitas hold that it doesn't make mamzeros, but Kiva holds it does. Then you have mitzvahs aseis. So it's a mitzvah asay for a kohen gadol not to marry a almana. So maybe we're going according to that shita, because Rav Simai, the Tani Rav Simai, menakol oiser Rabbi Kiva mamzer chutz me'almana l'kohen gadol. Rabbi Kiva says if an almana marries a kohen gadol and they have a kid, it's not going to make a mamzer. Sharei amru Torah lo yikach v'lo yichalol chalulim oisa ve'ein oisa mamzerim. Right? It says lo yikach and lo yichalol. Right? He shouldn't take and he shouldn't be mechalol. Right? So it makes chalulim, but it doesn't make mamzerim. Right? Actually, the truth is, it is a lav. No, isn't layikach a lav? It's lying. It says loy, right? No, and why do I have in my head that almana l'koyin gadol? What am I mixing it up with?
Almana l'koyin is both. It's a lav and an asay.
Right, it's both. It's both. Yeah, but Lamaisa, it shouldn't change it according to Rebbe Kiva. So it's a diak. So I mixed it up. So then what I said before is incorrect, I think. Well, if it's not incorrect right now, as of now, it's incorrect, right? But meaning he has a diak in the pasuk. It says lo yikav lo yichal chalulim oisa ve'ein oisa mamzerim. It only makes chalalim, doesn't make mamzerim. So maybe according to Rav Simoi's pshat in Rebbe Kiva, the father does have the ability to make her puzzle for kahuna. So my answer is no, we're going like Karev Yesheva. The Amabayu when it's Savach al Akiva ben Yosef. Let's go yell at Akiva ben Yosef. Shayam Rakol Shein LeBia B'Yisrael Havlad Mamzer. He tells anybody who does not have a bia in Klal Yisrael, meaning anybody who's usher to have that particular relationship, the Vlad is a mamzer. Right? So Mamela, according to Rav Yesheva, even according to Rebbe Kiva, it's going to make mamzerus. Right, so that's who we're going. That's what the mission is going according to. So when it says, okay, well, Hanichal Rabbi Yesheva, if Rabbi Yesheva is saying his own opinion that Rabbi Kiva says any forbidden relationship, let's call it that, makes mamzerus, fine. But if Rabbi Yesheva is not necessarily saying that, he's just saying that Rabbi Simai's pshat in Rabbi Kiva is incorrect. That's what I was mixing up before. He does have the, I'm sorry, yeah. He's biyadai to marry her off to a chayve essay or chayve asay, right? Right. So meaning, the father, what can he do? He can marry her off to a chiyuv essay. What would be that? Oh, that's what do you call it? Dor Shlishi of Mitri Adaimi, right? He could marry them off to there, and then that would make her usher, right? So Rav Ashi, Betizbar, and Rav Ashi is another kasha. Betizbar, Reisha Mishum Biyadehu. The Reisha, you're saying that the reason why he's believed when she's a katana is because it's biyadai. Nihi the biyadi lekatsha, biyadi legasha. It's very nice. The father has the power to marry her off, but he doesn't have the power to get her divorced. That's up to the guy. Meaning, we're saying that the reason why the fathers believed that his 10-year-old daughter got married and then got divorced is we're saying it's in his power to marry her off and get her divorced. No, it's in his power to marry her off. Fine. But let's say he goes over to the son, the son-in-law, and says, "Do me a favor, can you divorce my daughter?" Right? And he says no. Right, so it's not in the power of the father for the daughter
Even
to
if
get
he would
divorced.
say yes, it wouldn't still not in his power. He has to ask the son-in-law.
Right, correct. Meaning he's subservient to the son-in-law. Right, very good. Another kasha. Ilu amar hai deloy nicha begava mi matzi makadosh nele bal karche. And even if he's not happy with the girl, right? Can he get her to be married? Can he marry her off against her will? Meaning, let's say she's not happy with the guy, right? So then maybe who says that the father can marry this girl off? Maybe he won't. Maybe she's an ugly daughter and he can't get her married off to anybody, right? So how can you
Doesn't
say
that second question? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Doesn't the second question have kind of counteract the first one?
Why?
I mean, the second question means that you're left with it's in his rishus. It's not biyada. He can't force anything, but he has jurisdiction over her to marry her off. So that would be the answer to the second question. Well, that would be the answer to the first question also. So it'd be that he can't actually divorce her from her husband, but it's in his rishus to accept her divorce. So the rishus is there. It might not be biyadai. I mean that he can force
Correct.
any, but it's
Yeah,
rishus.
correct. Yeah. And a Hanami, but at the end of the day, we're saying who says he has the power to get them divorced, right? That's up to the son-in-law. And even if you want to say that that's not an issue, I don't know how you'd say it, but who says he even has the power to get her married in the first place? Right?
So why wouldn't the simple answer to that be it's in his rishus, not biyadai? Why isn't
Meaning
rishus enough
theoretically.
for this?
See,
Why
The
does it
Torah,
need to be
the
biyadai?
Torah gives him the right and gives him the right to marry her off.
Right, exactly.
You know, and
Why
does
is
she have a yad to be Makabal Gerushin? Or that has to go to while she's a katana, does she have a yad to be
that we had a
Makabal?
big machlekes tanoim? We had that. She can't make a shliach to accept it, but she can accept it herself. But why isn't the fact that she is bershusei enough for him to be believed? Why does it have to be biyadei? Is essentially what I'm asking.
Because you're saying a lom de shazach. As long as he has the ability to do it, so then it's fine.
Well, that. Why isn't that enough for Nemanis? Yeah.
Okay, Anachanami. So you're saying that really it is biyadei, but it's not. Okay. All right, Anachanami. It's a good point. Anyway, so because of these two kashas, that really the father doesn't have any power. So El Amar Rav Ashi, third wide line down. El Amar Rav Ashi, Reisha Rachmana Hemine. In the Reisha, the Torah believed him. Kirav Huna, like Rav Huna. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, Minayin La'av Sheneman Lesser as Bitam in a Torah. How do we know that a father is believed to aser his daughter? Meaning a father, now again, we're changing. You have to erase, which is good because it wasn't such an easy Gemara. Erase the Havaminas. Right now we're saying a total loop shot. The Torah gives the power to the father to be believed to aser his daughter. That's all. Minayin la'av shenemer lesser as bitim in a Torah shenemer as biti nasati leish hazeh. I gave my daughter to this man leish asra. When he has the ability to give his daughter to a man, that asers her, hazeh. And then when it says in the pasuk leish hazeh, so it says hazeh, hitira, right? He could be mad to her, right? Meaning, when he says he could say as biti nasati leish hazeh, but he's not telling anybody who the ish is, right? So Mamela, she's also the whole world. Then it says, Hazeh says he could say, no, this is the guy, which now matters her to live with that guy. Right? So Binasuan Hemina Rahmana La'av, but when the world for marriage, the father is believed. Bishvuya Loyamine, but for capturing, he's not believed. Meaning he could do all this shtick and say who he married her off to, and then he first asks her, then he matters her. It's all in his power, but not shvuya. Right? It's not for shvuya. Yeah. So that's it. So basically it's a gezeres hakosav. So that's why when the girls are katana, he's not believed. I'm sorry, when the girls are gedolah, he's not believed, and by shvuya, he's also not believed. Okay, that's fine. Next Mishnah, Mishamar b'shas misasoy. When a guy is about to die, he says yeshli banim nemon. He says I have kids, meaning this wife, the husband's about to die. They don't have any kids. He says, by the way, I do have kids. I have kids on the other side of the world. So Mamela, this woman does not need evil. So he's believed.
It's therapy, but not evil.
What?
Therapy, but not evil.
Correct. Yeshli achim, but if he says I have brothers, which means
She falls to you.
she needs yibum, right? Eino never. There he's not believed. Okay, so he's believed to say that she can get out of yibum. He's not believed to be mechayev her in yibum. Right? We got that? Let's get that straight again. He says when he's about to die, he says to whoever's in the room, he says, I have kids. She does not need yibum. He's believed. If he doesn't have kids and he says, I don't have kids, and not only that, but I have brothers. So Mamela, she's stuck. She's usher to get married till they track down these brothers. right? But this is all based on his talking. So then, we say he's not believed. So again, he's believed to be matir his wife to not have yibum. He is not believed to make her usher to the whole world, which the Gemara says.
Is this
Alma.
the Sefer Truma's Chazaka? What kind of Chazaka is it that he does not have brothers?
Well, that we're going to see in the Gemara. Let's see what's going on with the chazakas in the Gemara. The Gemara is going to discuss it. Yeah. So Gemara, let's see.
He's
So
saying Amonis on his mother. By him saying he has brothers, he's saying Amonis on his mother. You could say he's an Eid Echad.
What do you
By
mean
him
them
saying
mothers?
not have
What do you mean
kids,
them mothers
that's
on
on
his brother?
himself.
Eidos, have Eidos. He's giving Eidos on his mother.
On his mother, that what?
Oh, if he has
She
brothers,
had
it
other
came from his
children.
mother.
What do you mean? Who says it's true? What do you mean?
I don't think
No, but
Peretz.
that's
I don't
what
know if
he's
saying-
doing, Zav.
He's saying Eidos on his mother,
What it's saying
Yeah.
is on his mother, that what?
that she had other boys besides him.
And what? And Peretz is saying Eidach and then Bisur?
His own
that-
serves. About his own kids. If he's saying Adis about himself, that's fine. Here he's saying Adis about his mother. Why would we believe him?
No, so 1 second, you can ask a different question. All these things is Arias, right? Arias, no, Eid Echad is never believed. You should have pointed that out, right? Akiva said it last night, but
Is
in all
this
these
called
things, we're talking
Erba?
about Arias here.
It's a love
What?
of Yivama Lashuk. Is that Erba?
No, but I'm saying the other cases,
That's what we're
answering her on
talking
to
about.
other people, etc., etc.
Well, the last Mishnah.
Correct. But with the whole sugi, we have to always
yeah.
keep in mind. You have to always keep in mind their eyes. But he's really just like, or he's just some form of Eid Echad. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, so Zog the Gemara. Alma neman lahatir vein neman leser. We're saying that this guy who's about to die is believed to be matir his wife that she doesn't need yibum. He is not believed to make her usher. Correct? Yeah, that's what we're saying. Clearly, he's mutter. He's believed to matter. He's not believed to asur. Name of us these are the like Rav Nosson. So let's say our mission is like Rav Nosson. The Tanya, b'shas kiddushin, Amar yesh leibanim. When he's getting married, so she's nervous. She's nervous, and she says, "I don't want you to die, and then I need yibum." So he says, "Don't worry about it. I have kids, so you're not going to need yibum." Then b'shas misa, Amar ein leibanim. When he's about to die, he said, I got you. I don't have kids. Right? B'shas Kiddushin Amar Ein Li Achim. When they're getting married, he says, I don't have brothers. In which case, if he dies without having kids, she won't need Yibum because he doesn't have brothers. B'shas Misa Amar Yesh Li Achim. Right? And when he's dying, he says he does. So now what? It's a similar case to our Mishnah. Neman Lahatir Ve'ein Neman Leser. So the Tanakama says, like our Mishnah, he's believed to be mata her, which means he's believed that he has kids. And he's not believed that he has brothers. Divrei Rebbe, who's like our Mishnah. Rav Nosson Omer af neman lesser. He's believed to aser her, right? Which is not like our Mishnah. Why is he believed to aser her? Our Mishnah said, and Rebbe also said that he's not believed to aser. He's only believed to matter. So Marava Shani Hasam, Kimin Devashas Misa Kahadabe. Since when he was dying, he changed his mind. Ema kushta kamar. Let's say he's being truthful because he's about to die. Right? Nobody wants to be lying and do a surim right before he dies. So Memela, it almost sounds like he's doing tshuva on his deathbed, and he's regretting that he lied to her. So that's what we're saying he's believed. So Amalei Abaye v'lav kol tuchenu. Isn't it a kol shekain? Hashta. Over there, meaning the first case where he made his words bad, that's what it literally means. Meaning he lied. When they first got married, he said one story. He's about to die, he says another story. And Amrit Kushtuk Amar, you say, yeah, he's probably saying the truth. So Masnisin in our Mishnah, in our Mishnah, we have no proof that he lied. Like kol shekain, shouldn't it be a kol shekain that he is that he's trusted? Right? Abaye seems to be asking a Pasha the Kasha. You're saying that this fellow who actually lied when he got married, we're saying, oh, but he's probably doing tshuva before he dies, so we're going to trust him. So then, and you're going to say you don't trust the guy who was not caught lying? Doesn't make sense. Right? So now here we go with chazakas. Yeah. Abaye says our Mishnah is talking about where we don't have a chazaka that that he has brothers. And we also don't have a chazaka that he has kids. Meaning, I'm sorry, I think I said it wrong. We don't have a chazaka that he has brothers, and we don't have a chazaka that he has kids. Meaning, seems like there's a chazaka both ways that he doesn't have kids and he doesn't have brothers, right?
Well, of course, till he told us, we had no clue.
Correct, but it was meaning if you went to your shul and you said, okay, does this guy have? Nobody ever heard that he had a kid or he had brothers.
Well, that's why when he brings it to us on his deathbed, we're all surprised. They're surprised.
No, now we're talking about right? No, but on his deathbed, he's saying, I don't. He says, I have brothers. I mean, yeah, you're right. He's changing what the chazaka was, right?
Is this a negative chazaka or is it a lack of chazaka?
Sounds like it's a lack of chazaka.
So he doesn't need a grois and emunus. I mean, it's not like
Correct.
the Sefer
Right.
Truma's chazaka is a negative chazaka. That needs something to break it. This doesn't need anything to break it. We just didn't know. So he's telling us, why is that an emunus issue?
No, okay, good. No, but the point is that nobody ever heard that he had kids, and nobody ever heard that he had brothers. So right now, let's say he wouldn't have opened his mouth. Guy died, no kids. A guy died. They ask around town, anybody know if this guy had kids? Anybody know if this guy had brothers? So what's his din?
I don't know. I would have thought she has a problem. No?
You would think that she has a problem because if he doesn't have kids, then we're not going to assume that she has no problem because there's no brothers.
Why? We would assume that there's no kids and no brothers?
Why not? That's what seemed, but nobody's ever heard that this guy has brothers.
Plenty of people don't
like
have.
how halacha works today.
I don't know how this is going to go into today.
He has brothers or not, you know?
No, but you'll ask around. You say, yeah, he has brothers. I'm saying we never heard that this guy has brothers. Right? So let's see again. We don't have any chazaka that he has brothers. We don't have any chazaka that he has kids. Since we don't have any chazaka that he has kids and that he has brothers, so Amar Yeshli Banim. So if he says, I have kids, Neman, he's believed, because all he's doing is maintaining what we'd call the status quo, because the assumption is we never heard that he had brothers, we never heard that he had kids. So okay, the not having kids is going to work against her, but the not having brothers works for her. So the assumption is that he never had brothers. Memela, all this guy is doing by saying either that he has kids or by that he has kids, he's just confirming that she doesn't need Yibum. Right? But Yeshli Achim and Eneman. But if he says, I have brothers, and obviously when he's not having kids, then he's not believed. Like, because Lav Kol Kamina to Asala Kuleyama, we don't trust him to Asara onto the whole world. Right? Because he's changing the status quo. If we would trust him to say that he has brothers, we're changing the status quo. Brisa, so that's the Mishnah. Brisa on Talmud Beis now. Brisa, the Muchsach Lon Ba'achi. The Brisa is talking about we had a chazaka where he had brothers, but we don't know if he had kids. So now the default was that she's going to need Yibum. Damrinon, Mali L'Shaker. Right? We're going to say, why should the guy lie? Right? Maiko Amar, what's he going to say? Lemifteri miyavam? Right? What's the guy trying to accomplish by lying and saying that he has brothers? Right? Matzi Amar, Patron Elach Begita. He could have just lied a different way. He could have just said, I divorced her. Right? So Mamela, he's trusted, sort of like we were saying in the Havamina on Amar Aleph. Meaning this guy, when a guy's about to die and he says, I have kids, right? Or I don't have brothers, I have brothers, whatever it is, we're gonna trust him in the Brisa. Why? According to Reb Nosson, we're gonna trust him. Because if he's lying, he could have just lied. He could have, if he didn't want her to have Yibum, he could have just given her a get. Right? Why couldn't he just give her a get? Or lie that he could give her a get? So this is sort of like a migu. He could have done better. So if he didn't, it must be that it's true. Right? So Rebbe Savar Mali L'Shakir Ki Edim Dami. So now we have the machlokes here. Rebbe holds when it says Mali L'Shakir, we have this rule of why should the guy lie? It's mamish like edus. Va'asu edim akri chazaka. Edim could come and uproot a chazaka. Right? Meaning it's so strong a Mali L'Shakir that why should this guy lie? So Mamela, he was trusted when he originally said that he has kids. Right? Because he could have just said, if he didn't want his wife to have Yibum, he could have just said, I divorced her, or I will divorce her. So we're saying that that's so strong. Right? Now, when he's rescinding it before he dies, that's like him going up against testimony, and it doesn't work. But Rav Nosson, so that's the technical why Rebbe doesn't trust him. Rav Nosson, so Mali L'Shakir Ki Chazaka. I mean, Mali L'Shakir is not like testimony, it's mamish like a chazaka. One chazaka can't totally uproot another chazaka. Right? Meaning, so according to Reb Nosson, when he says that he had kids when he first got married, and Mamela's wife won't need Yibum, then he said that there's no brothers, he's trusted, but not so fully trusted. So therefore, when he changes his mind, right? Then we will listen, or at least be choshed, right? Mela, so therefore it's he's trusted according to Ibn Nosson. So basically, what we're saying is that there's, according to in the Brisa, there's talking about there was a chazaka that he had brothers, and there was no chazaka that he had kids. So the assumption going in was that this lady, once this guy got sick, the assumption was that this lady's going to need yibum. Right? Then they said, 1 second, but he said he had kids. Right? But then he changed his mind before he died. So according to Rebbe, when he said he had kids, so then, and he has a reason, why should he lie to say he has kids? He could just say, I'm giving her a get. So since he doesn't have any reason to lie, that's considered very strong. Right? So he's trusted. Now when he wants to break that, and then he says, oh, by the way, I don't have kids, that's not strong enough to knock off an edus. Mashenkin Reb Nosson says, no, we had the chazaka that she's going to need yibum. He knocked it off temporarily, and now he's going back to it, so we go back to it. Okay, that's essentially the machlokes. Okay, fine. If you're having a hard time with this, I believe it's a hard Gemara.
In the Pesha Asr.
That's a question. Is Pesha also in here too? Like he Aser?
Vice versa, Pesha Asr.
If it depends which
Pesha
shita,
Mutter cannot Asr.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Right? He's sort of like at what point you're trusting him, at what point you're not trusting him. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Zok the Mishnah. Hamakadosh is bito stam, right? A guy is stam Makadash's daughter, right? But he didn't say which daughter. Now here's the other way around. The previous Mishnayos were talking about, 2 Mishnayos ago, was talking about where the guy marries off his daughter and he doesn't know who the guy is. Here, he doesn't know which daughter. Right? He's got a bunch of daughters in Shidduchim, right? Fairly common occurrence, and he doesn't remember who he accepted the Kiddushin for which daughter.
No, the other case is he forgot. He knew, he just forgot. It doesn't say. So how you Makadish somebody and you don't pick which one? How does that work? Harei Mikudeshes li to no one?
Yeah. Was this your
How does that
kasha that
work?
you wanted to discuss? Was this the kasha or you had a
Yeah,
different kasha?
yes. How does that work?
I mean, how do you accept a marriage on behalf of nobody?
Yeah,
That ends up being
the other
somebody.
case is he was Makadosh, he just forgot who it was.
Right. You're saying here he doesn't even
How
know
is it a
who. He
Kiddushin to
doesn't know
begin with?
which daughter. I hear. I don't. Why do you assume that won't work?
I don't assume anything. I know nothing.
No, I'm saying, good. I have good company, but I'm saying,
How
I'm
does
saying, why
this
can't?
Why is that the case?
That is the
He
case.
knows.
Gershon.
He knows exactly who.
No,
We don't
But he
know.
didn't specify which one.
He didn't specify which one. He made a good Kiddushin. He knows who the guy is. He knows which
Hmm.
daughter it is. And he said, I'm making a vote. I'm making a chasna. I married off one of my elder daughter. And
no,
then he
that's the next
disappeared.
case.
You stuck in elder.
That's the
Oh,
next
sorry.
case.
Yeah. Whichever. Yeah.
Who's on first?
I'm marrying
Yeah.
off my daughter. Then he disappears. We don't know where he is.
No,
So we can't ask.
no, the chassan comes, gives him money, says, "I'm marrying your daughter. Which one? I don't care. I just need to be into your family." Right?
Yeah, that works. As long as the father knows which one.
No, but it sounds like the father doesn't know. I'm a kaddish is bita stam. Right?
Because it's going from the chassan side.
Correct.
He doesn't care which daughter.
Right. So now the father says, okay, I took the Kiddushin. He was so desperate to marry off his daughter. He said he took the Kiddushin. Now he says, 1 second, which daughter am I taking? He takes the money. Then he says, right? Then he's on his way home. He says, okay, who am I marrying? Who am I giving to this guy? Right?
But what's the issue? His middle name is Lavan. No?
No, so David's asking, what kind of, how do you marry, how do you give money to a marriage if you don't know who you're marrying? Elamai, it must be that it doesn't make a difference. As long as the guy doesn't care, he'll take any one of the guy's daughters. So then that's a Kiddushin.
When is it?
Obviously, he's not going with the Gemara in the beginning of the second paragraph that you have to see. Or maybe no, maybe he saw all of them. Maybe he saw all of them.
When is the Kiddushin Chal? When he decides?
When he gives it, no.
When he decides which one?
The father decides.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Kiddushin is not Chal when he gives the money.
It is.
No, the Kiddushin is Chal a week later when he decides which one.
No, I don't know. You're right. And then if you say it that way, the way Naftali is saying it, then how's the Kiddushin Chal if he doesn't even know which daughter?
The father knows.
I don't know where you're getting that from. It doesn't sound like that. Right? Meaning, the guy has a bunch of daughters. If we don't know which daughter got married, they're all usher. Finished. They can't marry anybody. They're stuck. Right? Okay, let's go. Makadosh should be the stam. See, Makadash's daughter, he doesn't know which daughter. Ain't a begeres b'chlas. So meaning anybody that's over 12 is not a problem because he doesn't have the rights to marry off his daughters who are above 12. He only has the right to marry off his daughters less than 12. So therefore, any daughter, let's say it's 5 girls less than 12, they're all usher to get married. Till they figure out who this guy married, they're all usher to get married. The ones over 12 are not usher because the father doesn't have the rights over them. That's case number 1. Case number 2, we had already a couple of times. A guy has 2 sets of daughters from 2 different wives. And he says, I'm marrying off my oldest daughter to, not oldest, I don't think that would be the right touch. The Gedola, the older daughter, I'm marrying off the older daughter. But I don't remember, when I said I'm doing the Gedola, I don't remember if it's the oldest of the oldest daughters, or does it mean the older of the younger daughters? Meaning he's got basically, to make it easier, this is the way we explained it 2 weeks ago. He's got 4 daughters. Bottom line, he has 4 daughters. I don't know why it has to be 2 daughters from 2 wives, and Rashi even says that one of them died. I don't know why Rashi has to say that, right? But whatever it is, there's 4 daughters. He says, I married my older daughter off, right? We don't know. daughter number 1, 2, and 3 can be considered older. The one that's for sure not is number 4. She can't be older. She's the youngest. Right? So again, he doesn't know if it's the oldest of the oldest or the older of the youngest, or Ketana Shabigadailis, or maybe it's the younger of the oldest. She Gedailim and Agadailis, because she's older than the what really should be Katanas. Gedailis should be Katanas, right? She's the older one she's older than the older one of the younger ones. Right? Meaning basically numbers 1 through 3 can theoretically be called older. Right? So Kulan Asuras, they're all Asur Chutz Min Katanas, except for the youngest of the youngest pair. They were remembered because she for sure is not considered. She would never be called older. She's the youngest of four girls. Kulan Mutaras, they're all mutter. He says the other way around. They're all mutter Chutz Min Gedailas because he means when he says the oldest girl, he means the oldest girl. The rest of the girls are not oldest. Right? That's one version. Now we have the opposite. Kidashi is Biti HaKetana. Again, the same case. He has 2 daughters from 2 different wives. He says, I was Makadish, my youngest daughter. We don't know if he meant the youngest of the younger pair or the younger of the older pair. Or the older one of the younger pair. She's younger than the younger one of the upper pair. Again, he said, 1 through 4. 4 is he says, I married off the youngest one. Right? So 4 is definitely the youngest. 3 is younger than 2 and 1, but older than 4. 2 is younger than 1. 1 can't be considered the youngest. Right? So Rameir says they're all also because we don't know they're suffix married, except for the oldest of the oldest one, because she's for sure not considered the youngest. They're all mutter except for the youngest of the youngest. When a guy says he married his youngest daughter off, he means his youngest daughter, not a partial youngest daughter. I don't think that part is so complicated, but maybe it is. I don't know. I apologize if I'm not explaining it correctly. Yes, and then the Gemara says, going back to our previous, so this whole Gemara we had already once before. It sounds like, okay, so in the first case in the Mishnah, he doesn't know which daughter he accepted the Kiddushin for. So Mamela, they're all anybody that's a Ketana is Asr. Shamas Mina, so we hear from this, Kiddushin Shemer Surun Labiyah Have a Kiddushin. If we're saying that they're all not allowed to get married, that means that this marriage, when this guy comes knocking on the door and he says, okay, he says to the father, okay, I married, remember a year ago, they had a year between the Kiddushin and the Suin. So remember a year ago, I gave you money in shul to marry one of your daughters. And the father says, ooh, I don't know which daughter I married off to you. Right? So now he is usher to sleep with any of them because he has no idea if it's the sister of his wife. Right? So then if that's the case, if we hold that Kiddushin has to be you have to have the ability to have relations, otherwise it's not a good Kiddushin, right? So then if you go with that Shita, then these girls are mutter because the Kiddushin was not a good Kiddushin because he couldn't sleep with any of them. But this that we're saying that they need a divorce must be because we hold that Kiddushin that can't have relations is considered a good Kiddushin. So every daughter of this guy is below 12 is a suffix married. Right? So Gemara answers, it's only talking about we only had 2 daughters, a Gedoyla and a Ketana. So it's clearly not the Gedoyla, so for sure he meant to marry the Ketana. So the first Gemara has a technical point. It says, it says any girls over 12, meaning so it sounds like he had multiple girls. So Gemara answers, my Baigris, it doesn't mean that he had all girls or multiple girls over 12. It says any girls in this situation that would be over 12 are not married. My Baigris Dama, meaning girls that are over 12 are not marriageable by their father. So it doesn't mean that he had multiple ones. But then they're going to ask the question. So Pshita, Baigris Maya Viditayo. Then okay, so if he only has his 2 kids, a girl over 12 and a girl under 12, then we know who he married her off. We know which daughter got married. So what's the chiddush? Right? So the Gemara says, "My Baigros, I'm sorry, Pshita Baigros Maya Viditayo." What would a Baigros be doing here? Right? So no, we're talking about where the Baigris made him into a shliach to marry her off. Right, so now he has a katana who he has to marry off, and now he has instructions from his girl over 12. He has permission to marry her off. So you would think since his daughter over 12 made him a shliach to get her married off, so you think, okay, must be she's the one. A person is not going to leave something that he has enough from it and something that he doesn't have enough from it. Meaning, when the father marries off the girl less than 12, he gets to keep the money. So why would he marry his daughter off who's over 12 when she gets the money? He would much rather marry his girl that's less than 12 and he'll get the money.
I mean, he has no interest in marrying off his daughter, only if something's in it for him.
Basically, that's what we're saying. No, he does have it, but she's going to have priority because he'll make money. Yeah, money, kesef yana sakol, right? So then the Gemara says, Mila askin to armale kiddushin. No, aren't we talking about where the daughter who's over 12 said, meaning she knew what kind of father she was dealing with, so she wanted him to marry her off. So she told him, you could keep the money. Right? She knew that he would pull this shtick and only marry off the younger girl because he'll get money. So she told him, go marry me off and you keep the money. So the Gemara says, a person's not going to leave a mitzvah that's on him, meaning it's a mitzvah for him to marry off his daughter who's less than 12. He's not going to leave that to do a mitzvah that's not on him, because once his daughter's above 12, it's not his requirement to get her married off. So therefore we say it's not going to
that mitzvah of the pasuk. What's the pasuk? The pasuk is
well.
What's the pasuk that he has to marry?
Not really a pasuk.
That's
yeah, the pasuk in Yirmiyah, Rashi says.
So that only applies to
12, less than 12. Yeah.
Only applies, that pasuk is only to less than 12?
Yes. Yeah, because he has the power over her to marry her off. Once she's already 12, he can't marry her off without her permission. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so that's the shakalataya of that Gemara. Okay, let's do a little bit more. So Mishiyesh Shtei Kite Panas. So how come we need two cases in the Mishnah? You have the same exact case. One is talking about where he married off his daughter. He had 4 daughters, 2 from one marriage, 2 from another marriage. 2 are older, 2 are younger. And he says, I married her off to the oldest one. So we have Machlekes Ramei and Rabbi Yosi, which one he married her off to. And then we have the same exact case in the opposite. He says, I married off my youngest of the 4, but we don't know, he doesn't know which one. So how do we define youngest? So it's the same Machlekes. So why do we need both cases? But Tzricha Diash meaning Kamaisa, if you said the first case, Bahach Kamer Rameir, that's what Rameir says is din the kiva, meaning that they're all married except for the youngest one. Since there's always a younger daughter, so everybody's called the Gedoyle. You're called the big sister, right? The only one you don't call in the family as a big sister is the youngest, right? But in the Katana case, maybe he be the Katana lahach Katana the Kulu Karla. When you say that a girl's the youngest, you mean that she is the youngest. You don't mean that she's the youngest. When a person says, this is my younger daughter, does he mean she's younger, but this daughter's younger than her too? Or does he mean that's the youngest? So what the Gemara is thinking is that Rameir says that people would say she's my older daughter. They could still mean that there's daughters, there's other, meaning it doesn't mean that they're the oldest, just means that they're older than others. But by a katana, nobody would say that. And then you have the opposite. And if you would just say it by the case of Ketana, but for this case, maybe you say Rameir. So Tzricha, that's why you need both cases. Right? Okay, we got to go a little back to because it's Peretz's favorite Gemara. So Lameir, the Rameir Savar, Machas Inish Nashe L'Sfeika. Are we saying that basically Rameir holds that a person will put himself into a suffix? Rabbi Yosi Savar Loy Machas Inish L'Sfeika. And Rabbi Yosi will say that a person does not put himself in this fake, meaning Rameir is saying the guy is going to say he's got 4 daughters, and he says, I married her off to the older one. And now he's going to make Meshuga. Maybe he meant that the older one is not the oldest, it's the second or the third, right? And Rabbi Yosi holds that a person would never do that. If he said older, he must meant the oldest, because a person's not going to make make sveikas. We heard the opposite. The Tanana Noidir the Pesach. If a guy makes a nether against somebody and he says, I'm making a nether that I'm not going to benefit from this guy until Pesach. Asr Achi Yagia. It's Asr until Pesach comes, meaning the second nightfall hits first night Pesach, his nether is gone because he says until Pesach. Achi Yehei Pesach. Until it is Pesach, Asr Achi Yotza. Then it means till the end of Pesach. Ad Penei Pesach, but if he says until literally till the face of Pesach, that's a machlokes. Meir Omer Asr Ad Sheyagia. He says it's Asr until Pesach comes. Rav Yossi Omer Ad Sheyetze until Pesach goes out. So here you see that Rav Yossi doesn't know. We don't know what this guy meant. So Rav Yossi says we got to go with the strictest interpretation, and it means till after Pesach. And Rav Meir holds you go with the most lenient, which is the beginning of Pesach. When our Mishnah is the other way around. Rav Meir says 3 of the girls are Asr, and only 1 is Mutter. So what's the pshat? So Rav Chanina bar Rav Dimi Amar Rav Mechlefes Hashita. Switch it. That's all. Switch it. Right. That's we got it mixed up. We have the Manda Amra mixed up. Right. So Tanya, we have a brayso to prove this. This is the rule. Kol shezman kavua. Anything that has a zman kavua, right, which is like Pesach or anything like that, for Omar ad Penei, and he says until the beginning, Remeir Omer ad Sheyat. So that means until that, meaning until Pesach, but sort of like ad va'ad bichlal, and it means until Pesach, meaning until Pesach is over. Yossi Omer ad Sheyagia. Yossi says no, until it comes, and that's it. So you see, we have a brisa that backs up that we switch the shitas, right? Because in the first version, Rabbi Yossi says until Achi Yetze, and Rameir was Achi Yagia, and now this brisa switches it, right? Okay. Should we stop here? It's late. Go to the Mishnah. Or should we say, yeah, let's go to the Mishnah. Yeah, it's a hard Gemara, so we got to leave it for the end. So, Amar Abaya, Machlokes b'shtei. Again, we're talking about 2 sets of girls here from 2 marriages, right? So Amar Abaya, Machlokes b'shtei kitei banos. The whole Machlokes is when there's two sets of daughters, meaning 2 daughters from each wife. Bekat achas, but if it would be one set of daughters, divrei akol gedoyla mamish, katana mamish, and tzas b'shma karila. If it's, let's say, 3 daughters from one wife, so then the oldest is going to be considered the oldest, the youngest is going to be considered the youngest, and the middle is going to be called, this is my middle daughter. Right? Meaning the whole Shiloh, the Gemara is saying, is only when there's 2 daughters. So we don't know who you consider the youngest, oldest. But when there's 3, there's the oldest, there's the youngest, and then there's the middle child. Right? That's basically, that's what we'd say. Now, and so is if that's the case, and you're saying this is true, so then if there's a 3rd daughter of the second group, then she should be mutter, right? Because basically, if you're looking at the 2 that they're separate, the daughters are separate entities. So now look at the youngest daughters as if she's, as if it's just a regular standard 3 sisters. And the middle one we call the middle child, and the youngest is the youngest, and the oldest is the oldest. So when answers, you're right. We're talking about where there was only 2 daughters. That's why it says there was only 2 daughters from the second marriage. But if there would have been 3 daughters from the second marriage and a chanami, that middle daughter would be mutter. So it says because if it really was the middle daughter, so listening, so it should have said it. It should have said the middle, that was the middle daughter. It didn't say it. It only said 2 daughters. So I said, the middle daughter of the first set, meaning let's say the first set, he had 3 daughters from the first wife. The Vade Sveika, she's definitely a suffix because we don't know if she's older than the other one. Basirale, and we would have asked her, right? Because she is older. Mika Tanila doesn't say anything about the middle daughter either. Right? It just goes without saying that any daughter that's older than the youngest, according to the Meir, is going to be Asr. So when it says Hachiashta Hasam Tana Tana Didal Surah, the Tana says that the youngest one is to make an isser. It goes without saying that if the second youngest daughter is going to be usher, then it goes without saying that any daughter above her is going to be usher because she's older than somebody. Hacha. But here, in the younger, from the second marriage, hacha im isa deika, right? If there was really a third daughter, Nistanya, you should have said it, right? Because you have to say that there's a middle. If there's the din would change, right? You have to say, meaning if you're going to say that the din it would be with the middle daughter that might be mutter, so then you have to say that according to Abai. Fine. So Amalei Rafuna Breder of Yishul the Rabba Ha Pesach Techiv Kat Achas Dami Upligi Pesach, right? The machloikas we had with Remeir and Yosi, which is when a guy makes a neder up until Pesach, what does he mean? Till the beginning of Pesach, till the end of Pesach, right? So that's only a two-daughter case, Upligi, right? Is it Kadachas? No, I'm sorry. That's like a three-daughter because you have the beginning of Pesach, you have Chalamoyed, then you have the end of Pesach. How do you know what the guy meant? Right? So it really could be three. And yet there's a machlokes. Again, Abai was saying that there's only machlokes when there's two daughters. When there's three daughters, the middle daughter for sure is not the older or not the younger. Nobody refers to it like that. So, but how come by Pesach we're saying it's either the beginning of Pesach or the end of Pesach? Maybe it means the middle of Pesach. So there, they're having a machlokes is about how people talk. Marsover ad pnei Pesach means ad kamei Pesach. It means people don't mean it. People never say up until Pesach till Chol Hamoed. Either they mean till the beginning of Pesach, or Marsover ad the mifni Pesach, or until Pesach turns away, and that's what it means. But there was no middle. Meaning, no guy ever says the middle of the road. Okay, it was a hard daf tonight. It was a hard daf.
This the machlokes by
Thanks for sticking with it. No, them should have themselves a good night. What are you saying, Gershon?
This is the machlokes girsois by Neila Kifana Yoim.